Hello everybody, today I want to give you a little bit more in-depth overview of the plans of the Department of Home Affairs in the next 2 years. So we're recording this in May 2023, so I'm talking probably horizon 2024, end of 2024. So I'm basing this on the Operation Vulindlela. Okay, so there's a report out there and we will link it and we will give you all the links, which comes from the Office of the President. And I think it's very important to understand that. There were various experts involved in it, an ex-DG of Home Affairs as well from a couple of years ago. And they compiled a report how they can use immigration to grow the economy and what is currently working and not working in this report. I can really recommend the report. I know it's lengthy, but there's some very interesting statistics in there. But I think I will use some in some of my blog articles in the future, not now today, because I don't want to really talk too much about the report. What I want to talk about in this video is really the timeframes of the plans of Home Affairs. So what is Home Affairs planning? With which timeframes, with which changes can we calculate, expect, and when can we do that? So that's what the video is about. So let's start. And I think the first time frame is April 2023, so that's a month ago. So on their Excel sheet or on their PDF of planned actions, they want to abolish certain documents to make it easier for the applicants and lighten the burden of administrative, getting documents, etc. And they have done so. They have abolished the radiological report, which was required before, and they have also made it much easier for police clearance certificates, because you only need them for the last 5 years in the country of residence and passport. So that's great, right? So no, they continue with medical report, but at least much easier. So they have already implemented that. Then the next deadline is really that they intended to come out with new immigration regulations in June 2023. Now, I doubt that it will be June 2023, but maybe the Department of Home Affairs surprises all of us. But in my 20 years of experience, they usually don't stick completely to these deadlines. So, but I think it's fairly certain that they are working on new regulations. The minister has said so, and that hopefully we will see draft regulations pretty soon. I personally think of August or maybe September, but nevertheless, so certain changes will come then. And I think what's really important and what is planned is that they're planning to remove the requirement of the professional bodies. Now that's a big thing, a very big thing, okay? Because at the moment, within critical skills, the professional body requirement is not working, because every professional body has their own requirements. It's very difficult to stay on top of them. Most of them actually require for full registration that you actually worked in South Africa. Now that's very difficult for foreign applicants coming in the first time, etc., etc. So they know it's not working, and they're clearly stating that in their report, and that's why the recommendation is that this should be abolished. Now, funny enough, this should have been abolished already in April. This should have been already done, and it has not been done. So you can see politically, this is not really clear. This is something where probably the Department of Home Affairs digs their heels in and thinks, well, yeah, you know what, we want that, right? Or the professional bodies. Maybe the Engineering Council is not convinced that you, that you want to let all the foreign engineers in, etc. So I think there's a little bit of a protection of the local economy, local employment at play. But if you read the report and if you read the statistics, the verdict in the report in favor of skilled migration is crystal clear, and it is brutally clear formulated in the report. So if you ever look for arguments and data, look in the report. Anyway, so they want to abolish professional bodies. That's great, right? That would make our life so much easier, and for our applicants it would be a huge win. So that is probably then only coming when the new regulations come in, I think, okay? The next one, they do say the digital nomad or remote worker visa will also come with the new regulations, okay? So I think that's now an open secret. They're really working on it. I know it from various sources. It will be coming. In which form, we don't know, but it will probably be in line with other international remote worker visas. Then they also speak about a startup founders visa. So the UK has it, and there's a couple of other legislations, France especially. So they are contemplating to bring this in, also with the new regulations, because obviously you need a legislation change there. Funny enough, we from IBN, we ourselves have actually submitted ideas what should be featured in a typical startup and founders visas. And I'm not sure if we have a video on this, but if we have, we will make a link and you can see it, but in more detail. But we have submitted ideas. And then the last interesting one is, and that has already happened, is that they are contemplating to introduce a trusted employer scheme. Now here, there was a presentation in May by the Department of Home Affairs already outlining the public comment period has closed on the 19th of May. Here again, IBN has submitted on behalf of our clients some ideas and some comments, and we expecting new legislation or more detailed regulations around this also in June. Okay, so I think that's really interesting to read. Furthermore, there's a very, very clear acknowledgement that the Department of Home Affairs needs more human resources. And I've said this for many, many years. One can criticize Home Affairs a lot, but fact is they were always understaffed and their technology is very old. So they need more human resources on the immigration side, because they have had more staff on the civic side. But on immigration, they're chronically underfunded and understaffed. Now that is supposed to be changed, and the Office of the Presidency is talking to Treasury, but Treasury apparently digs in their heels and it takes a little bit of time. So yeah, please Treasury, granted. Okay, we need it. Okay. Then a long-term goal is really upgrading of IT infrastructure. You can read in the report the current speeds Home Affairs is working on. I think if I recorded correctly, it was 512 kilobytes per second, and they want to increase it to 30 megabytes per second. So yeah, 512 kilobytes per second. I still remember Skyping, or actually having a modem with my wife in 1990. She was in South Africa and I was in Antwerp studying, and we had these funny telephone calls over the internet. I think that was the same speed. But anyway, but beside the point, I think another very, very important one now, I'm moving slightly away from this June, July, August, September regulations. Now I'm moving into new legislation, Act, okay, Parliament, so not regulations. And there it's clear that in the report also suggested that we get a point-based work visa category, probably putting critical skills together with general work. They will leave the ICT untouched, I think, and they're recreating a point system. Now, there's very vague information on what is potentially in the point system, but what is in the report as well are the 5 categories they're giving points. You're needing at least 100 points to qualify, and you're getting 100 points when you're on the critical skills list. Okay, so that seems to be continuing, and I agree that should be continuing. Then a labor market test as an alternative. So if the Department of Labor says yes, then alternatively, and then you get 50 points only when you're in NQF level 8. That's the current requirement of critical skills. And here again, my current criticism remains, NQF level 8 is too high. Please lower it to NQF level 7. The 8 is too high. We do not have enough foreigners, highly qualified, who meet the 8 level. Okay, it needs to be 7. The other part of the potential scorecard is if you're part of a trusted employer scheme, and that's the interesting new requirement, is a potential minimum salary threshold. Okay, so this is a very common thing in the European Union or the UK. If you earn above a certain threshold, you qualify for immigration, because just by fact of earning X amount, you're deemed to be highly qualified, and you're not taking any low-skilled or less skilled South African job away, and the threshold of the salary is the crucial part. Now, it's not 100% clear how they're going to allocate the points, but it looks like critical skills gives you 100 points, labor market test 100 points, and the rest of the other 3, so NQF level, TES, and salary thresholds is 50 points each, and you need 100. Okay, so that's, I think, really, really cool. And then the very last point I wish to make is there's a very, very clear commitment to renew the critical skills list every 2 years. Sometimes in the past it took 5, 6, 7 years for the last one. Every 2 years, I think that's good. I think that's current. That's great suggestions. And I have to say that when you read this report, you can only commend the frankness and the clear statement of the Office of the Presidency. It's well written, and I think all the suggestions make a lot of sense. The timeframes are ambitious, and I really hope the Department of Home Affairs follows them and South Africa can improve the immigration system. Thank you very much for watching. Like it, share it, do whatever you have to do. Bye-bye. Cheers.